बिल्कुल नहीं होगा मेरा कुछ
नहीं शाम को
भी मत
और आज
पूरी है मतलब सबसे
ये आज को देंगे ये एकदम दूर है कैमरा में दिखाया बोलते उसके लिए कुछ बनेगा ये तो कान पड़ता है ऐसा जो भी बंद करना
सीसीटीवी देखेगा नहीं
पता नहीं
अगर देखेगा तो अक्सर दिख जाता है
एकदम सुन जाओ मेरे भाई का क्या पैच है मेरे ऐसा कैसे होगा एकदम
नहीं मैं इधर बैठूंगा आरे मुझे लेगा मैं तुझे लूंगा आरे तू उधर ही बैठ ट्रायंगल में बैठा
हाँ
कैच अभी फास्ट कर रहा है
तो ऑब्वियसली मैं सब यही करता है
क्या कर रहे थे मेरा पाउच है वो
रजनी को लगे फास्ट
करना है
राज ने फर्स्ट वर्ड किया फर्स्ट वर्ड किया अरे बताओ आगे वो नहीं आगे वो करेगा
मेरा ऊपर क्या था क्या अब कौन सा हो गया अरे यार फास्ट कर फास्ट टूट गया
अरे
फास्ट मत कर ये सब नहीं बोलता ये ना सबका प्रयोग सिर्फ सागा बोलो सागा और कुत्ता बस इसके अलावा एक गाचा ये मैं हो गया एक
मुझे चलेगा भाई इसको मारने चाहिए
और तू क्यों नहीं सुना रहा है यार
अभिप्राय तो स्पेशली
यस
मैं हो गया मैं लेंगे उधर इसने क्या करा अभिप्राय मुस्लिम भाषा है शायर
क्या कर रहे हो
सिस्टर
दे दे मत दे मैंने
अरे भाई क्या
अरे ना
ये दे दे
राज का ऑप्शन है राज का तो
राज आ रहा है
एक राज का ऑप्शन है
बेचारा
सॉरी
अरे तू पीछे आना अरे तू इधर आना
इधर ये
बेटा
तेरी तो वाली
यहाँ जिंदगी बैठी तुझे इंग्लिश नहीं
खाऊं नहीं स्टिकर छोड़ा
मार्क्स अभी एक देता हूँ तू बहुत मजा आता बहुत मजा आता
फिर मन नहीं हुआ
सब
किसी के शरीर में
युवराज के बड़े तेरा और युवराज के सवाल से बड़े
शॉट फ्री फायर हमारा ही हेडशॉट
हाँ मैं बहुत मारा
अभी को पीछे
बढ़िया भाई बढ़िया
रियल लाइफ में क्या देखना है
नहीं देखा है युवराज का 3 बार देखा अभी मैंने और नहीं किया रिकॉर्डिंग सब ने तो मैंने ये 3 बार उसको युवराज में जो
कौन तू
स्टूडियो को भी फ्री फायर भी खेलती है मैं एडम लेके खेलती हूँ
अभी मैडम लेके को राखी मत मान अबे तो राखी नहीं चाहिए
फ्री फायर मेरे को मत बताओ यार मैं ये सब नहीं खेलता मैं प्रीमिस लेके खेलती हूँ
मैं छोड़ दिया
नहीं प्रीमिस नहीं
मैं नहीं खेलता मुझे बात
इतना नहीं बनता भाई फ्री फायर बस
नहीं खेलता है
मुंबई से
मैंने वो ट्राई नहीं किया इतना बकवास
कौन सा इंस्टॉल करता है जेट लेता है जेट उड़ा देता है ऐसा नो यूज
भाई सही है
बस हो गया ना
बस
बस हो गया मैं नहीं खेलता
बस
आई क्या करूं सॉरी ये वो कह रहा था वाइट बोलने वाला था
एक भी मार अरे यार ये मारूंगा ये वीडियो होगा
लेकिन मेरे से भी मार मुझे भी बोलने वाला था अबे पिता
बात कर दिया ये मार
उसके लिए क्यों मारा भाई
उससे दूसरा
मेरा बेटा मैं मित्र है मेरा
वाइटी देखो लो जाओ बड़ा छोड़ा है सबसे मारा
करता है
समझता नहीं होगा
अरे तुम्हारा कार्ड नहीं आना है मराठी एग्जाम मरे 30 प्लस आना है हमारा मराठी नहीं आता ये
अरे ऐसा है ना ऐसा क्यों करता है ये आता
आता
तो ये ऐसा क्यों है
जोक था
सीधा
फाइल नहीं करती पार है क्या
स्विच कर पुश कर देना।
कैंसर बोला कुछ तो ऑफेंसिव बोला मेरे पास नहीं
चुप क्या कर रहा है?
नहीं हमारा ही है उनको ये है नहीं इसको
नहीं होता
ऐसे तो ऐसे पीछे ऐसे चल रही थी फोटो
मुझे उसका निकालना ठीक है ना फिर काम निकाल के खाने को दिया गया कोई नहीं रहा
मैं मम्मी को मैंने बोला दे दिया सुबह जाता अभी मैं सो रहा था इधर भी मैं 11 बजे
मैं तो 7 बजे उठा स्कूल गया स्कूल हाँ मेरे को इधर दो मेरे को लग रहा है
सेवन में नहीं पढ़ता
Some are absent today. Yes. Yes, ma'am. One, ma'am.
What are you doing? Let's go. Take out the book. Fast. What was the last topic we completed? Conditions responsible for cross-pollination we were studying. Is that what we were studying?
Yes.
So the other day we had been talking about Selena and me. Give that. Now,
yes I have
open your textbook. Now, we talk about okay, so the last day we studied what? We studied the concept of self-pollination, cross-pollination. What is self-pollination? What are the different types we studied? इसमें नहीं चाहिए, टेंथ के लिए। अभी इसमें नहीं चाहिए। अभी ना टेंथ को यहाँ पे बुला लेंगे इसमें। Now, when we are talking about the concept of self-pollination, cross-pollination. Self-pollination, you are very clear. What are the different types? I will give you some questions today. You should be able to answer. Next is what happened? You did not sign. So you're marked absent. Now your parent will try and take it for you. Go and get the sheet. You all sign?
No, he signed it.
The next period you will run away.
This is also from this.
Ha. So now, next cell pollination, then we were talking about the concept of advantages, disadvantages of cell pollination, right? Cross pollination, we understood what are some of the reasons responsible for cross pollination. For cross pollination in a bisexual flower, what is necessary? The flower should show homogamy. The flower should be bisexual. So if these are the features, then we understand that these particular characteristics favor self-pollination. Then what are some of the characteristics that favor cross? The flower should be unisexual. The flower should show, or if the flower shows self-sterility. What else? If the flower shows heterostyle, hercogamy, and if the flower shows dichogamy. No? So this is what we had studied the other day. What are the different types of dichogamy we understood? Protandria and protogyny. Remember all these words. Remember all these words. So now the concept of cross-pollination, the other day we studied, and the disadvantages and the advantage. What are some of the advantages of cross-pollination? You have to remember. What are the advantages of cross-pollination? The most important advantage? New variety. The variety that we get is always more resistant. And what is the disadvantage but for cross-pollination? The plant utilizes the plant is utilizing so much of nutrients. So it is uneconomical. Why is it uneconomical? Because the plant utilizes so much of nutrients and energy for making the flower big, showy, colorful, fragrance, nectar, so much.
To make more pollen.
And the wastage of pollen, so much of pollen to be formed to increase the chances of fertilization. So if it is a concept of self-pollination, so that part is minimized. So all these things we had completed.
In conditions for cross pollination, can we write the flower should not be bisexual? Like the conditions of
no, when
self pollination will just.
but a bisexual flower, no, a bisexual flower also can show cross pollination. It is not only that unisexual flowers are only showing cross pollination. A flower is unisexual. Definitely it will go for or it will show cross pollination. But a flower is bisexual. Is it necessary that it will only and only show self pollination or self and cross both?
Heterosexual.
So self and cross both. No. So if it is bisexual, we cannot write that not bisexual is a feature of cross pollination. No, because if it is bisexual, then also cross pollination. So always to understand that way. And these agents of cross pollination also we have discussed the other day. What are the agents and what are the characteristics? Remember, I give you 2 minutes to just read this: insect pollinated, water pollinated, and wind pollinated. The characteristics of the plants. This was the last topic that we had completed the other day. I want you, where's your book? Just go through these features, the points, and after that I'll give you some questions first and then we will try to proceed with the chapter. Every word, every sentence you should be able to understand, the definitions, features, examples. Go through first, only the rest of the part I'm not asking you to read, that is very conceptual, you should know the names. Here the characteristics of the plants which show wind, water, and insect pollination. Just go through. Wind, water, insect pollination. Go through. characteristics of the plants which show wind, which show water, and which show insect pollination. Just 2 minutes, go through before I give you some questions. You should be very thorough with the words. Done? First of all, very fast, write some questions. Try answering some questions, then we move forward. Try answering some questions. Number 1, name the following. Number 1, name the following. Name the following. Number 1, I'm sorry. Take this one. Number 1, flowers pollinated by elephants. Flowers pollinated by elephants. An example of a flower pollinated by elephants. Number 2, flower pollinated by elephant. Number 2, condition in flowers. Condition in flowers. Right. Likho. Appendage chal raha hai. Condition in flowers where anther and carpel mature at the same time. Anther and carpel mature at the same time. Leave 1 line for the answer. Number 3. 1 line for the answer. Number 3. Number 3. A barrier over the stigma. Barrier over the stigma to prevent. Barrier over the stigma to prevent self-pollination is known as. Pen नहीं है तो चेक नहीं करते हो क्या? Before you come to the class, give him 1 pen. Number 4, leave 1 line for the answer. Number 4. Leave 1 line for the answer. Number 4. The reproductive organs developed. Reproductive organs developed in plants in flowers like. Reproductive organs developed in flowers like sunflower and salvia. Reproductive organs developed in flowers like sunflower and salvia. Number 5. Number 5. Salvia. S-A-L-V-I-A. Pollination by birds is known as. Pollination by birds is known as. Pollination by birds is known as. 1 line for the answer. Number 6 it is. 6. Number 6. Plants like palm and papaya. Plants like palm and papaya are dash. Name the following movie, you have to write that word. Plants like palm and papaya are dash. What is this? You are coming at 6:50 to the class.
I had appointment today.
Did you call up and inform? Did you call up and inform?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Plants
Palm and
like
papaya
are
are dash flowers. Palm and papaya are dash flowers. Number 7. Number 7. Number 7. Maize is pollinated by agents such as dash. Agents such as dash. Type of pollination, number 8. Type of pollination. Type of pollination. Type of pollination taking place between or occurring between two flowers of the same plant. Two flowers of the same plant. That is number 8. Go to question number 2 now. Go to question number 2. Identify the type of pollination. Identify the type of pollination based on the agents. Identify the type of pollination based on the agents. Based on what type of agents? What type of agents? You're not to write down the agent name, but what type of pollination? And the number 1, write down the characteristics, you will understand. Number 1, write down the characteristics. Pollen grains are light, dry, smooth. You will not write wind, huh? You will write down the specific word. Pollination. Yes.
Light, dry, smooth.
Wind pollination is known as what? That way. Identify the type of pollination. The question is identify the type of pollination. Pollen grains are light, dry, smooth. Keep one line for the answer. Number 2. Number 2. Pollen grains are carried by the specific gravity of water. Specific gravity of water. You have to write down the specific word. Number 3. Keep one line for the answer. Number 3. Flowers are number 3. Flowers are brightly colored. Flowers are brightly colored and in clusters. One line for the answer. Number 4. Flowers are small. Flowers are small and stamen, same point. Flowers are small and stamen hang outwardly. Stamen hang outwardly. Last, number 5. Number 5. Anthers are loosely attached. Anthers are loosely attached. Come on, complete this. Then we start with artificial pollination. Complete this fast. Check whether you know the answers. First try answering whatever you know. Then whatever you don't know, we will discuss out. You can look for the book. Done? All done? Very good.
Ma'am, only one
Question.
Which one?
Reproductive organs developed in flowers.
The
Reproductive organs
developed in
flowers like sunflower and sunflower.
which type of reproductive organ is developed in there? This type of question also you will get. There's a particular, these are one type of a flower. What type of a flower are they? No, only not that concept. There are other concepts also you have to think. Answers you are sure you write. After that you can take the help of the book. We'll discuss that. Do it fast, but.
Can you take the previous question?
You have to ask them. I just take the question, right? That is part of the movie. I don't have to be my friend. You need your book to answer. But I will quickly start with here.
What are wind pollinated?
What are?
Wind pollinated flowers.
Yes.
Just like the name, please.
What is the question I gave you? Type of pollination to identify. I gave you the characteristics and we
I
are.
don't know the name.
We discussed now.
That's
Okay.
why I didn't know.
What type of pollination? Pollination by wind will be known as what?
Yes.
I know name, but I don't know spelling.
Now you tell me that I know the spelling, but I don't know how to write the letters.
I know it, but I don't know.
7 days. You're going to school 7 days, no?
No, ma'am.
Then also if you don't know,
7. Ma'am, we study 7.
7 days of the week you all are studying.
No Sunday.
You all go to school on Sundays also, no?
No. 7 days.
Yes, ma'am.
5.
Then why the name 7 days?
It's based on church. Because God rested on 7th day. He made the world and He rested on 7th day.
So you are also resting on the 7th day.
Yes. Yes, on Saturday. Sunday.
Sunday no more.
Saturday is the 7th day.
चलो करो fast. Let me see who gets all correct. Chocolate मिलेगा.
Please. लेकिन यार.
एक ही नहीं यार तो यार
मुझे दो नहीं आए।
अच्छा है मैं मिलेगा तो मुझे भी देना है पड़ेगा. All done? One by one, and after that I start discussing the answers. Let me see. Should we start? Why? You must have gone to look at they should go here. Number 1, let us try. Question number 1, one by one. That one came late. Start from here. One by one. One. Each one of you will keep answering.
Flowers pollinated by elephants. Eel ko pig.
Flowers
Pollinated by elephants.
I asked you an example to write. A flower pollinated by elephants. A flower pollinated by elephants. I did not ask you the type of pollination, did I? No. Flower pollinated by elephants. What is it? Rafflesia. Check your answer correct karo. Rafflesia. Next.
There should be flowers when anther and pollen mature at the same time.
Same time. Homogamy. Homogamy. Third. What's his name? What's your name?
Varad.
Varad. What's your name? What is the next question?
Now I have written from fourth. Second and first.
अच्छा तेरे पास पेन नहीं था.
Third only.
फटाफट लिखना.
A barrier over the stigma to prevent. Third, no. Barrier over the
Wait,
stigma
wait.
to prevent self
Put your hand down.
pollination.
हाँ.
Good.
Condition I asked you. Read the
Condition हर को कम.
Harpogamy.
I thought you asked.
Good. Break your bones. Good, you are right. Harpogamy. Next. Next. Number 5, no? Number 5.
Four.
Number 4. What is it? Number 4.
The reproductive organ. Are you read the question?
The reproductive organs develop in flowers like sunflower and sunflower.
Which one?
Especially,
That is a protandrous flower. Sunflower, salvia is always a protandrous. So which reproductive organs are developed? Stamens. Stamens. Reproductive organs developed by stamens. Next.
Pollination by birds. I have written wind.
You have written. That's a different story. But what are you supposed to write? वो लिखने के लिए तो मैं भी कुछ भी लिख सकती हूँ. What are you supposed to write? Pollination by birds. क्या है? Pollination.
I have not.
ornithophilus.
Philly. Ornithophily. Ornithophily. अरे बाप रे. There I asked you the flower. What is the question? You are somebody would ask you what is your name. Of course, you will not tell your mother's father's name. No. What is the question? That way the answer. Ornithophily. Come again. Start. Next question. Make it fast. Next question. Number 6. No ornithophily. उसके बाद.
Plants like palm and papaya are dash flowers.
हाँ. What type of flowers are they? अरे.
Water pollinated.
Hermaphrodite.
Water pollinated.
Palm, papaya. What type of flowers are the specific word? What can go there? Bisexual, unisexual. What type? Unisexual. Think from different angles. No, you are getting questions. You have to think. What is the most appropriate word I can write? Come next. Unisexual.
Maize is pollinated by agents such as wind pollination.
Wind. It is like wind. Next.
Self-pollination taking place between two flowers of the same plant.
Same plant.
Self-pollination.
Self-pollination. The most appropriate word. What can you write?
Gaitogamy.
Heterogamy. Heterogamy. वो no कौन लिखेगा? Heterogamy. Next.
Spelling and
Leaves are light, dry and smooth.
Now, type of pollination to identify. Type of pollination to identify. That was question number 2 that I gave you. Type of pollination. Number 1,
Pollen grains are
light, dry, smooth.
and
Anemophily. Next.
Varad.
The penthana देखना. हाँ, अभी आगे बोलो.
Pollen grains are carried by specific gravity of water.
Specific gravity of water.
Hydrophilus.
Hydrophily. Phily. The flower is phyllis. Process is phily. Next.
Entomophily. Flowers are brightly colored and in clusters.
Clusters. Entomophily. Next.
flowers are small and stamen hung outwardly.
Anemophily. And the last one.
I haven't reached that. Question number 2, third one. I haven't written
एग्जाम
that.
में तुमको 2 घंटा ही देगा, 3 घंटा नहीं देगा लिखने के लिए. Come on. Last question.
Ma'am,
Anthers are usually
वो
attached.
तो
I haven't written that.
वो पहले क्वेश्चन तो लिखिए, आंसर तो बाद की बात है. हाँ, last question.
Anthers are usually attached.
Right?
Anemophily.
Anemophily. Anthers are loosely attached, always win pollination. Always win pollination. Keep reading the chapter. Off and on, I will give you tests so that you understand how to study, what are the important terms to study there. Now, we start with the concept of cross-pollination again, but now trying to understand that if a particular plant is bisexual, generally we understand that if a particular plant is bisexual, what type of pollination this particular plant should generally show. If it is bisexual, generally understood that this plant should show self-pollination. But what can be done in order to allow the flower show cross-pollination? Certain manipulations can be done. Now, in that case, if I talk about a bisexual flower, what is the basic concept? If it is a bisexual flower, both the carpel and the stamen well developed. So, both the carpel and the stamen. So, now I understand that this carpel and the stamen well developed. How can I think of a process where this plant or this flower, I don't want this flower to generally show the process of self-pollination, but I want that this flower should now show the process of cross-pollination. What can be done? Majorly, this anther that we come across, the filament and the anther that we come across, this is removed out. It is a bisexual flower. Maybe give me one example of bisexual flower. Hibiscus, oxalis. Now these different type of flowers, we don't want self-pollination to happen at all, and artificially we are allowing the plant to show cross-pollination. So what has to be done is, because the female part generally cannot be removed out, so what are we doing is, we are allowing manually trying to remove the male parts of the flower, that is the anther filament. Remove that. And in the other flower, we understand that this is the flower of the related species. This flower has to be a flower of the related species and which has the anther and the filament, and then the organ there. So now this particular flower is emasculated. What is the process known as? This particular process is known as emasculation. What is emasculation? It is a process of artificial pollination. Artificial pollination in which from a bisexual flower, the male reproductive organs are removed out. And then manually that is also done. The pollen grain, maybe now the anthers are allowed, they are just dusted in large numbers near the stigma. They are just dusted in large numbers near the stigma, and for a short period of time, what will be done is, they will be generally covered by some polythene bags to not allow any type of infection happen. So we allow enough dusting, enough of disinfectants, etc. are used. Pollen grains are dusted, and to keep them protected for a particular period of time, just wait to watch if the process of germination of the pollen grain has started.
In a bisexual plant, it is possible to remove the female reproductive organ.
Generally, the female reproductive organ is the main site where the fertilization has to happen. So whenever we are removing the female reproductive system, this particular flower is not going to give rise to anything. So what are we doing is, because the entire process of fertilization, germination, seed formation, fruit formation is everything happening in the carpel. But what do we only need is the pollen grain, which can be got from some other flowers also. So that's the reason the female part is never disturbed.
If we remove the female part, so there would be no pollen formation of pollen.
If we remove the female part, this flower is just a waste. We are not getting anything out of it.
No
Only the anther makes no sense. We need the anther for the pollen so that the pollen can come in contact with the stigma and then start the process, and we want a productive seed or a fruit out of this flower. So that's the reason the female part is not to be disturbed at all, whichever flower you take. And we want to prevent self-pollination and go for cross-pollination. So what are we supposed to do? Remove the male part, and now self-pollination is not happening. We have taken the pollen from some other flower. We have taken the pollen from some other flower, dusted here in enough number, and this is called the bagging. And then we cover it with some enough number of amount of disinfectants and with the plastic bag, and wait for some time, check whether germination is starting or not, happening or not. If that is happening, then we remove this, the polythene bag or the polythene sheet, we remove it, and now the process of germination will go on. And in short period of time, we'll get to see that this entire flower got converted into a fruit. So in a period of some couple of months, this bagging has to be there for a couple of weeks, and once we are convinced that yes, germination has happened and fertilization has already started, because the dry parts of the flower, upper parts of the flower will dry out and start falling off. And once we had already come across that yes, these changes are happening, then we now remove the polythene bag and allow the process of fruit formation happen, and the seed is already getting matured. Yeah, but this seed is formed by the process of cross-pollination. So the characteristics of the seed or the fruit is going to be a improved variety, because we allow cross-pollination happen. When would the farmers or the breeders do this? When they know that this particular flower or the plant has got some good characteristics and they want to merge another set of good characteristics from another plant. They want to bring the good characteristics of two plants together to make an improved variety. Had this been self-pollination, was it possible? No, only the same identical varieties. So is this done in the actually in the fields? Yes, very much. This is actually done for the flowers and the fruits. Very much, very much.
Can we if we breed like another species of flowers?
Another species, every time it will not be compatible. Self-sterility ho jayega. Now something like, can I talk about cross-pollination between the mango and the guava? No, they are not related at all.
They won't accept the pollen.
So that is called incompatibility. So the stigma, even if it receives hundreds of pollen, nothing will happen. After 2 days, the pollen will die out.
But some of them would accept, right?
No.
If they are related closely.
Closely related species only. If I talk about mangoes, then related species of mangoes. I talk about strawberry and grapes maybe. I talk about sweet lime and lemon maybe. But can I think of hybridization or cross-pollination between the sweet lime and the mango? No, absolutely no relation. No, I can think of forming cross-pollination between oranges and sweet lime, but not between guava and oranges. So that is what you should always understand. What would happen when the two types of plants go for cross-pollination when they are absolutely of two different species? No, there will be absolute rejection, incompatibility.
If they are compatible,
compatible, then they will undergo the process.
It would be known as cross-pollination only. Right?
Yes, it is cross-pollination. So that's what I said. Related species. We can think of cross-pollination between maybe the brinjal and the capsicum. They are related species. But can I think of carrot and brinjal? No, not possible. Can I think of the marigold and the sunflower? No, not possible. So the species has to be related, then possible. Underline the word emasculation there in your book also, underline the word bagging. Underline the word bagging, underline the word emasculation. Now next is I want you to just go through this, because this is generally self-study. 1 minute. This is generally self-study, examples of pollination in insect-pollinated sweet pea and wind-pollinated maize. Just read on your own. This description and the details is never asked in the exam. You will get only questions, plenty of questions on the concepts and the names and the examples. But just go through the process. Just go through and see whether you are understanding. Here it is only mentioned how the insects would come in contact with the petals of the flower and how exactly the reproductive organs get exposed. You don't have it, huh? It's actually not we don't ask them actually.
Does it also
But
happen
let
like
us
in,
go through.
does it also happen like in animals between two close species when the reproduction happens and there's a but the offspring is sterile. So can this also happen in plant?
Mostly. Whenever we are talking about two, in animals especially, whenever two closely related species also, they undergo, generally the chances of reproduction is very, very low, but then in case, if at all it is been done, then what would happen is the new organism that is formed is generally sterile. What is the meaning of sterile? They would not be able to continue with the generation at all.
41 and 42.
So for plants, it is even more sensitive. For plants, what happens? The pollen grain would not start the process of germination. They would just die. Read these two parts and just underline some of the important terms and the examples only. Methods are never asked in your exam. We straight away move on to the concept of double fertilization, which is very important. Just 2 minutes I give you. Go through. If you want to mark anything there, you mark. And then we start talking about the process of germination of the pollen grain and fertilization. Emasculation is always asked in your exam. Underline that word, emasculation. The pea plants, the pea flower has got 3 types of petals. The standard, the wings and the keel. The keel is the smaller ones. So when the insect comes in contact with the flower, it is the first set of petals, the first pair of petals, the standard on which the insect would generally try to rest. So in that process of resting, what are they doing? They are pressing the petals. And the moment they start sitting on the petals and press on the petals, the reproductive organs are exposed. The anther, the stigma, exposed. Now that the anthers are exposed, so on the body of the wasp or the bee or whatever, the pollen grain gets stuck. And that's how they act as carriers for insect pollination.
And mosquitoes also agents.
No. Done now? That is okay. That is done. That you may read at home also. Now we start with the next part, that is fertilization. We start with the next part. The next part of the chapter is fertilization. Let us start with that. What about the basic concept of fertilization and the 2 major methods of fertilization to understand? Now, in the concept of fertilization, what are we to write down the definition? What are we studying? We are studying a concept of double fertilization that takes place in the flowering plants. Flowering plants always show this method of double fertilization. We start with this concept that if this is a flower with a well-developed anther, a flower with a well-developed stigma. So now, this bisexual flower, what would be some of the most important parts? This bisexual flower will always have parts. What are the important parts that we are supposed to remember? It will always have parts like the stigma, the style, and the ovule. First of all, take out your pencils. We'll have to draw this diagram. This diagram is important. Let us take this diagram first and then the process. Draw it fast. Don't spend time talking. Finish up.
This is that pollen tube. Yeah.
Pollen tube.
Pollen grains, not pollen.
Pollen grain. Both the diagrams you'll have to remember. The germination.
ये उल्टा टूटेगा।
Pollen tube is forming, right?
This is the first of all, this is the germ tube form.
Oh, yeah. So do multiple germ tubes combine to form pollen tube?
No, I'll explain it. Are you done with the diagrams?
No, ma'am.
Okay, look at the diagram. First you understand what are you supposed to draw. I start with the process of pollination. First of all, look here. Look here, try understanding. We are talking about the process of fertilization, double fertilization that takes place in the plants. What is happening? First of all, pollination. As a result of pollination, now what? As a result of pollination, the pollen grain comes in contact with the stigma. We already learned this part that the stigma should be able to receive pollen grains almost of the same species, related species, then germination starts. So this particular pollen grain is something like this. What are some of the parts of the pollen grain? You are supposed to remember the parts of the pollen grain. It has got a single nucleus, adequate amount of cytoplasm and protective coats. Which are the protective coats? Exine and intine. What are the protective coats? Exine and intine, the protective layers of the pollen grain. It's a single cell, single nucleus. When it comes in contact with the stigma of a related species or the same type of a species, what will happen? It will start the process of germination. Germination of pollen grain means what? Growth of the pollen grain in contact with the stigma, receiving the nutrients of the style. What is this neck-like structure of the flower known as style? What is the job of the stigma? The stigma is always acting as a landing ground of the pollen grain, receiving ground of the pollen grain. Now, what is happening to this pollen grain? The single nucleus divides into two nuclei. Divides into two nuclei by the rupturing up of the intine. The inner layer is breaking through, and then a germ pore. What is this tube known as? This is known as the germ pore or the germ tube. When it just emerges, it is actually known as germ pore, and then a small tube, the germ tube. So this germ pore will get converted into the germ tube. What about this nuclei? The two nuclei formed from the nucleus division, once only taking place. What are these nuclei known as? This is known as the generative nucleus. One nuclei known as the generative nucleus, and this is known as the vegetative or the tube nucleus. This is also known as the vegetative nucleus. So what is happening? One nucleus dividing into two nuclei. One is known as the generative nucleus and the other is known as the vegetative or the tube nucleus. Then what? Tube nucleus remains as it is. So I would say that this is actually the tube nucleus as it is. And what is happening to the generative nucleus? What is happening to the generative nucleus? The generative nucleus is again further dividing to form two male nuclei. It is dividing to form two male nuclei. What are they also known as? These are also known as the sperm nuclei. These are also known as the sperm nuclei. So how many male gametes are there? Two male gametes are there. Two sperm nuclei are there. And this tube nucleus, after a short period of time, is going to be used up. After a short period of time, we don't get to see the tube nucleus anywhere, because as in when the male gametes are developing, they utilize the nourishment of the tube nucleus also.
So it decays.
So how is this pollen tube? I said utilizing the nutrients. Decomposition is absolute different concept. So when I'm talking about this tube, what is the name of this tube? This is known as pollen tube. In the entire process of germination of the pollen tube is also simultaneously growing. But how is it growing? Taking the nutrients from the style. What type of nutrients? A large number of glucose and minerals which are packed up in the style, the neck-like, flask-like structure that we understand of the flower. And now the pollen tube is getting fully formed, ultimately to reach a specific region of the ovule, And what is this region of the ovule known as micropyle? I'll just take one more minute, get acquainted with the gametes, the process we are going to learn later. So just like the pollen I said, it's a single cell, and this single cell undergoes division to form two male nuclei. If I have to talk about the female gamete, the ovule is also a single cell with a single nucleus, and this undergoes a process of cell division known as meiosis, resulting in the formation of these gametes. Unlike the male how many gametes? Two male nuclei, two sperm nuclei. Unlike that, in case of the ovule, the number of gametes are more. How many gametes you see here? 3, 5, 8. Okay. So now how many gametes in the same ovule? What is this chamber known as? This chamber is known as the ovule or the embryo sac. What are the names of these gametes? Only this much will complete to you. What is this particular gamete known as? Egg cell. What are these two known as? Synergids. And what about this two when I talk about, what about this two? These two are known as polar nuclei. These two are known as polar nuclei. What about this one? All these three, they are known as what? Antipodal. So what are the female gametes known as? 3 antipodals, 2 polar nuclei, 1 big egg cell, and 2 adjacent synergids. So how many gametes? 8 gametes. So there are 8 female gametes in contrast to 2 male gametes, which will undergo or which will show the process of fertilization. What is the method we are going to learn? Double fertilization. Okay? Now, for the time when you complete this diagram in your notebook, this is important, this diagram. The next class will understand the method. Only the last part, that is double fertilization in this topic is left. We'll complete with this.
अरे आना पड़ा है मम्मी ने मना करा है अरे स्कूल आना पड़ा
तो बोल लिया वो बात में थे मम्मी मान
वो था यार किससे खाया यार खाया थोड़ा
मेरा पेंसिल
मेरा फोन
मेरा पेंसिल
हाँ मैथ्स के लिए ना मेरे सिलेबस खत्म हुआ क्या कब एग्जाम अभी तो 18 सितंबर बहुत टाइम है Google knows.